I've always said the scariest thing about the ocean isn't what you see. It's what you hear. I've worked marine tours for almost 9 years. Boat rides, snorkeling, shallow dives, mostly tourist stuff. But sometimes we get bookings from people who want something different, something deeper. Last September, I took 2 clients, Matt and Lena, on a private dive trip near an old sea trench about 40 miles off the coast. Not many go out that far anymore. The Navy did acoustic tests in the area years back, but it's still legal to dive with the right permit. Conditions were ideal. Flat sea, light breeze, and visibility that went on forever. They were both advanced divers, confident, young but sharp. The plan was to drop in, explore the upper trench edge around 90 feet, and then drift a little deeper if everything felt stable. We suited up and dropped anchor about 200 meters from the main trench wall. I checked gear, oxygen levels, and currents twice. Everything checked out. We descended slowly. It was peaceful down there, deep blue, silent. You could see the faint outline of the wall below, sloping into blackness. Fish moved in and out of coral cracks. A sea turtle drifted by at one point. It was textbook perfect. Then I felt it. Not saw, felt. A low vibration in the water. Not strong, but deep. Like a hum in your bones. I glanced around, and both Matt and Lena paused too. They also felt it. I checked my dive computer. No sudden depth shift, no seismic alert. Then it happened again. This time longer. A drawn-out, distant moan. Whale song. That's not unusual at that depth. Humpbacks sometimes pass through during migration. But this sound, it was different. Lower. Rougher. Less melodic. More strained.
Whales can sound like that.
Not the ones I've ever heard. I looked over the edge of the trench, into the deep. Nothing visible, just black fading into darker black. Then I saw something shift. Far below, a shape. Massive. It moved like a whale. Slow, gliding. But it didn't rise toward us. It hovered, sideways, and then slowly vanished back into the dark. I gave the stay together signal and motioned to keep the dive short. I didn't like the pressure shift in my ears, or the way the water felt. Heavy. Still, we began moving back toward the anchor line. That's when Matt pointed straight down. At first, I thought he was just reacting to the shape we'd seen before. But then I saw it, something rising fast. Not torpedo fast, but steady and huge. I thought it was a humpback, but it was too dark to say that for certain. Then, a faint glow appeared far below us. At first, I thought it was light reflecting off the trench wall, but it pulsed. Bright, then dim, like a pair of eyes staring up. My breath caught in my regulator. Matt and Lena froze. My knuckles whitened on my gear. We all wanted to look longer, to see exactly what that light belonged to. But fear won, and we forced our heads up toward the anchor line. Suddenly, Matt kicked hard, and his fin snagged on a jagged piece of coral. He tried to pull free, but the reef held him tight. Panic hit his eyes, and without thinking, I swam over and cut his fin strap with my dive knife. The glow flickered once more. We clung to the line as our hearts pounded. No vibration or anything this time, only the heavy throb of our own fear. I was terribly afraid, and I can only imagine what the other diver must have gone through as we climbed up on the boat, barely saving our lives. I checked Matt's gear and sank into a seat. His hands trembled. "Did you see those eyes?" he whispered. I nodded without answering. The ocean kept its secret. And somehow, that was even more terrifying. I've lived on boats most of my life. The ocean's my peace, I know its sounds, its moods. I know what's normal and what's wrong. That day, it was me, my fishing rod, and Rex, my golden retriever, my best friend. We'd done this so many times. Calm water, blue sky, quiet except for waves and Rex barking at seagulls. He hated birds, loved the boat. He'd lean way over the side, tail wagging, looking back at me like, "Dad, look at that." That morning felt safe. Just like always. We were 2 miles out. I dropped anchor. Rex stood at the edge, paws on the railing, staring into the clear water below. Happy, I cast my line, relaxed. Then, soft, deep, from under the boat, I froze, looked over. Water clear, nothing, Rex growled. A low, scared sound I'd never heard before. Driftwood? Maybe. But this felt heavy, alive. 15 minutes later, like a hammer hit the hull and the boat lurched. Rex slipped. His paws slid off the edge. I screamed. He paddled hard, whimpering, trying to reach me. Scared. I grabbed a rope, tied a wrench to it, threw it towards him. "Grab it, boy, please." He tried, barked, struggled. Then the water rippled. Not from Rex. From under him. A dark, huge shadow, moving fast and rising from under the water. Rex screamed. A terrible, high-pitched cry. Blood exploded in the water. His back leg bent wrong. "No!" "Come on, Rex. Swim," I yelled, throwing the rope again. Missed. He fought. Paddled with 3 legs. Whimpering. Looking right at me. Trusting me to save him. The shadow came back. Bigger and faster. I saw it clearly this time. Gray skin, thick as a tree trunk. A wide, flat head. And the mouth rows of teeth like jagged knives. A bull shark. Way too big for these waters. It hit Rex from below. Rex vanished under the water, came up choking, blood bubbling from his mouth. He was constantly looking at me, his eyes confused, hurt. Then, another attack and he was dragged under. Gone. There was no bark now, no splash, just red water spreading. I dropped to my knees, stared at the bloody spot. "Rex, silence. Rex, please." But nothing. It was just red water. My hands shook and I couldn't breathe. I kept staring, praying. Hoping his golden head would pop up. Hoping he'd bark, but he didn't come back. My best friend was gone. Eaten. Then, the boat rocked, like something big brushed against it. Down there, testing and waiting. For me. My blood turned ice cold. I scrambled to the motor, hands slippery with tears and salt spray. The boat started. I looked back to where Rex was, but there was nothing now, just the whale roaming. The hull was badly hurt. Every wave felt like it might sink us. I was able to reach the shore. As I limped home, all I saw was Rex. His happy face leaning over the rail. His terrified eyes looking up at me from the bloody water. Trusting me, but I failed him. I was right there. So close. The ocean took him, like he was nothing. And the silence. The silence after he was gone. That's the sound that haunts me. Not the scream. Not the splash. The terrible, empty silence. I've been a certified scuba instructor for 12 years. Led over 500 dives in reefs, caverns, you name it. I've seen reef sharks, moray eels, and barracudas up close. I know how the ocean works. I respect it. But what happened on that dive last summer? That shook me. We launched early. Calm morning, blue skies. I had 2 divers with me, Paul and Mina. Tourists from Germany. Certified, but not advanced. We were about 30 minutes off the coast, diving a slope that drops to about 90 feet. Clear visibility and warm water. It was supposed to be a routine dive. We reviewed hand signals, checked gear. Everything was normal. We dropped in. The first 15 minutes were smooth. Reef fish, soft corals, A few sea turtles passing through. I stayed ahead, monitoring depth and watching currents. We leveled out at about 70 feet. The slope tapered into a sandy patch, then a shelf that dropped off into deeper water. That's when I saw it. Out past the drop, maybe 20 feet ahead, a large fish appeared. Thick body, dark gray with faint spots, maybe 6 feet long. It was a giant grouper, Epinephalus lanceolatus. They're not uncommon here, especially around deeper reef shelves. Biggest bony fish in the reef ecosystem. Massive mouths. And yes, they've attacked divers before. They don't hunt humans, but they're territorial. And in breeding season, they can get aggressive, especially if you get too close without realizing it. I motioned to hold back. We weren't in its space yet, but I could tell from the way it shifted its body. It was alert. Watching. I started to back us up slowly, but Paul, he didn't see it. He drifted a little forward, eyes on a smaller fish near the ledge. Before I could signal him again, the grouper turned. Not fast, not frantic, just this deliberate shift, tail twitching, head rising. I knew that movement. I've seen eels do it just before they strike. I waved hard, trying to get Paul's attention, but it was too late. The grouper lunged, only about 3 feet, then opened its mouth wide and bumped him. That was all. Just a sudden surge forward, jaws gaping. It didn't clamp down, but it grazed his arm with its teeth. A scrape, enough to draw blood and knock the camera from his hands. Paul recoiled instantly. I saw bubbles explode around him. I was next to him in 2 kicks. I grabbed his BCD shoulder strap firmly and signaled to breathe. Slow. He looked at me. His regulator was still in. That was good. But his left forearm was bleeding. 3 shallow tooth marks, but enough to sting and scare the hell out of him. I kept a grip on his BCD strap, using my other hand to keep us stable. His eyes were darting around, and I knew he was close to bolting upward. Dangerous at this depth. So, I stayed in front of him, steady, showing him I was in control. That's when I caught movement out of the corner of my eye. The grouper hadn't left. It had circled wide behind us and was now closing in again. Slower this time, but deliberate. I reached out my arm sideways, signaling Mina to stay still. I turned, raised my fins slightly to make myself appear larger. Not aggressive, but present. Groupers aren't hunters of humans, but when they feel cornered, they defend their space the only way they know, by testing who's stronger. It came within 6 feet, then suddenly jerked forward again. Mouth open, but this time it veered off just before contact. A second warning. My heart was pounding, but I didn't move. It hovered a moment, then finally turned and drifted downward, disappearing into a rocky overhang beneath the reef shelf. That was our window. I immediately signaled ascend and started to guide Paul upward, this time with slow, controlled movement. Mina followed, eyes locked on me the whole time. We made our safety stop at 15 feet, waited the full 3 minutes, and then broke the surface. Back on the boat, Paul was shaking, adrenaline still pumping, but breathing fine. His arm was bleeding a little more, but the cuts weren't deep. We disinfected the wound, wrapped it, and gave him fluids. He was sore, bruised, but stable. Later, when we reviewed the dive log, I showed them the grouper's range and behavior. It wasn't trying to kill him. It was telling us to get out.